Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
You can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the final here of the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. We are live at the Swift Current Curling Club. My name is Sean Joyce, joined once again by Jeff Chambers. Jeff, you're in Swift Current. Are you in the facility or at your studio again?
No, I'm at my studio. I've been at the rink watching quite a bit in between games, but I'm in my studio today.
Always nicer when we're working on the monitors to have a nice quiet space, but I wondered if you might be in the facility and maybe be able to see a little more than I can.
Well, I would have liked that, but just to do the commentary, it's fortunately it's getting to be a busy place, and
there's a crowd there.
Yeah, I didn't want everybody to have to just listen to me right there and yelling over everybody, so decided to take a quiet place and run it through the studio.
Well, 16 teams began play in this event on Friday morning, and Jeff, you and I were talking a little bit just after the semifinal. If you had to pick two teams to make the final and predict ahead of the event, I think a lot of teams would have predicted these two teams to be here, and that is the case. They were on opposite sides of the A event. You might have expected them to both come through the A. Kevin Cooey had one defeat early in the event, dropped down. He qualified through the B, and by virtue of that, Edin, an A event qualifier, they are the higher seeded team here, and so they have last rock in the opening end to play. Throwing the Yellowstones, and we've got rocks in play already here in the first end, and just the one sheet in play. And already in the first end of play, we also see Kevin Cooey with the hood up and the winter jacket on.
Yeah, you'll notice a few teams there are finding it quite cool out there, especially when they're the only ones on the ice. So they'll find it a little bit cooler, and you can see everybody's in long sleeve right now. Some of the sweepers will move them off, but it's a little cool surface out there. We got a little bit of rain in the forecast, and so they're want to make sure we don't get that moisture inside the building.
And when you suggest that some of the sweepers will get rid of the long sleeves eventually, let's be honest, you mean Bradley Thiessen and those guns that he's got.
Yes, he'll be one of the first ones for sure. And but the poor Swedish team here without Niklas Edin with them, they've been playing three-handed, and you've got to think sooner or later that it's going to take a toll on those. The poor front end that are demanding sweep on both sides, and they never get that break to sit off.
We've talked about it a few times through the course of the weekend. For those who maybe perhaps haven't seen the Cooey team yet, this is a new team for them this year, new lineup. Familiar with all the names, but not in this configuration. The second, Bradley Thiessen, just crashing the guard there. Carrick Martin throws the lead stones for this team. Tyler Tardy, originally out of BC, throwing the third stones. Of course, Kevin Cooey, the skip. And for the Edin team, playing shorthanded this week. Last weekend, I believe it was, at the Grand Slam, Niklas Edin injured his knee midway through the event. So they played the last couple of games without him. Won that event. And I think some of the interviews I saw at the time, they were hoping he might be available for this one, but still feeling the effects of that, I guess. So they've been playing shorthanded all weekend. It certainly doesn't seem to have slowed them down. They come into this game with a record of 3 wins through the A, and then the two qualifying games. So 5-0 as they begin play here in the final, looking to go undefeated.
Well, they've had a tremendous run, going 22-5 on the season, but they've been undefeated ever since last weekend. They haven't lost an event yet, so it's pretty remarkable for only the 3 of them. And a little update on Nicholas. I was told that he got X-rays in Calgary, and they flew him back to Sweden for surgery. So that's the last I heard, that he was headed back home, and he was going to go under the knife to see if they can fix that tendon behind his knee.
So Team Edin sitting shot right now. They've also got third shot and center guard. Kui looking for the run back, trying to kill a couple of yellows here. Might catch the third one, does. Wow, that's absolute surgery. Removes 3 yellow stones, and the red stone that was sitting in between them all remains there untouched and now buried.
And I have a feeling that's just a sign of what's to come for us this afternoon in this championship final. We've got 2 teams that are not afraid to make any kind of shot, and they have full capacity to make those shots. So it's going to be a good afternoon here for us.
Rasmus Rana is typically the second for this team, kind of playing that second-third hybrid role when you've only got 3 players. The lead, Christopher Sundgren, actually holds the broom for Oscar Eriksson when he throws the last stones as well. And I speculated a couple times through the broadcast earlier when I had the Edin team. I know that Oscar has played some mixed doubles. I believe he even went to the Olympics last year. I wasn't too sure about the other 2 guys, and I did see one of the comments in the chat. I tend to check before I close the windows afterwards. I apologize to the fans. I don't always have the time to check while we're on the air, but somebody suggesting that Rasmus Rana has played a lot of doubles play as well, and that makes some sense then, that they keep him as a brusher because he's used to sweeping from both sides with a slider on. That's one of the things you see in the doubles play. A lot of guys have to get up and sweep their own rocks, and regardless of which side you're on, you're going to have your slider on because you just threw. We've also seen a few times this week Oscar Eriksson get up to sweep his own rocks, and when he does that, because he's a left-hander, him sweeping with Rasmus, they both end up on their stronger side with the sweep, with the slider ahead. So the fact that they've had to play with 3 hasn't really hurt their sweeping that much. They've been able to work with it. They don't have anybody doing something that they're drastically not used to. Nice come around made there. So another chance for Rasmus to play the run back, this time on his own stone. Runs it back, does kill the red stone. The raised stone will roll out of the rings as well. Nothing in the rings, just the 2 guards in play. The center guard belonging to Team Edin. There's a corner belonging to Team Kui. Kui without last rock here in the first end, going to try to come around the center. Maybe just a little bit light on that attempt. Rubs the guard. If they get it by, might be able to make the 12-foot. As it is, now 3 guards in play. Tough to straight out play for a blank here. So Eriksson going to look to come around his own guard. The one on the center line. Chance to perhaps set up a deuce here. Comes around to the top 12 foot. It is dead buried on his center guard.
Not going to take Kevin very much time to go back and take a run back at this. Would definitely be one of his specialties that he's never afraid of. He has a tendency to make these look pretty easy, Sean, even though there's no automatics and easy jam possibilities. But we'll see Kevin make way more of these than not.
Yeah, not a lot of room between these two. Does have to get both of them out, though. It is the opposing team's stone he's running back. You know he's not going to be light. Needs to curl it a little bit. He's awful close to nutting it.
Might have spoken too soon.
Perhaps fortunate that he rolled it far enough to be open for the last one. You're going to see Oscar Eriksson with a chance to come around, and Kevin Cooey might have a decision to make here in the first end. Do you ever risk giving up 3 and just follow Eriksson down if he comes top 4? Try to make his shot for too difficult? Or you could just hit that open stone and concede the easy deuce. Oscar needs to make the draw first. Probably looking to come in buried and just bite the top of the 4. You know if you come to the button, Kevin Cooey's going to follow you down, sit on top of you, and you're not going to have any room to score the second point. If you just bite the top of the 4 foot, he could still follow you down, but you'd have room to score the second one, and he'd run the risk of giving you a chance for 3.
You can still see there's a lot of swing out in the ice. You can see how much ice that they're normally taking, and at a club curling level event, you'd never normally see that much, but the rocks are pretty sharp, and they've been working hard on the ice to get the extra swing so that these guys can hit the big shots and the big finish of the rocks too.
Room by the guard. Can afford to over curl that top guard a little bit. There's no port between the two reds. So he does bury, just biting top 4. Is Kevin Cooey looking at the run double? He's standing in front of the red rock, not the yellow. There is what they're playing for. Not specifically the great big cardboard check, but the money amount on it. I like to refer to those as the Happy Gilmore check. Maybe I've dated myself by saying that, though.
Oh, you can never date yourself with Happy Gilmore. It's
and as a
people
golfer,
of
you have
all
to know
ages
that
know that
reference,
one.
right?
Absolutely. I was fortunate enough to have a couple of weeks ago, we had the ladies teams here, and I had Team Germany and Team Italy here to do a little golfing on the side, and even they knew what Happy Gilmores were, so it's a pretty common term.
Cooey opting to play the freeze. Bonus if you make the freeze is that you've shrunk the rings here for Oscar Eriksson for his last one, and it is a tight port. You know, you look at that red corner guard, you got to get by it and still get by the one that Kevin Cooey just threw to catch the edge of the button. Did see Christopher Sundgren indicating there is the option we could rub off the red one, still make it. That red one's not going to go very far because the yellow's going to block it.
Yeah, it looks like a really big hole there, but as we've been watching the amount of late curl in there, it gets tight really quick.
Yeah, it's not. I actually wondered if you might think about coming wide around the other side. Rasmus on the brush on the inside, and I talked about how Oscar will join being the left-hander. He'll go on that side. This has got to get off the corner guard yet. Not going to. And it will come to rest harmlessly in front of the Redstone. So Kevin Cooey with his last one puts it in a good spot. Oscar Eriksson not able to make the draw through the skinny port. It's just a single point for Team Edin. They do take the lead. It'll be Kevin Cooey with last rock in end number 2.
Had some questions about if our houses are painted or they logo. Our events are always painted houses, but in the future coming out, I'm pretty sure we're going to be going to all logo houses. They're a great revenue source for any curling club. You can get your advertisements on there, and usually after the first year, the houses are paid for. It's all free money for you. So hopefully check Jet Ice out for your future in-house logos.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Sometimes curling just isn't as fun as it can be on the Nintendo Switch. With up to 4 players per console, you can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling. Available now only on Nintendo Switch.
Second end underway here with Team Edin having picked up the single. In the opening end, it is Cooey with last rock as we begin play here. The center guard was thrown up to start the end. Looking to come around it. Brushes are going to have to work to make rings out of this. It's going to pull up just a little bit short.
A couple of staggered guards really could make for an interesting second end here.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been shocked there, actually, even to see Kevin Cooey throw the corner guard. Perhaps not ready to do that quite this early in the game yet. Nothing out of the brush on this one. Wants to stay in front of the tee line. Will slip to just back button. Does have a piece of the tee line still, but room for Kevin Cooey to ask Carrick Martin to come sit right down on top of it. If he moves it maybe 2 inches, he's probably shot rock. Jeff, you and I were talking in the semifinal, as well as in some of these previous broadcasts. This is, especially for the avid curling fans and former curlers like ourselves, this is the really interesting part of the end to watch. This cat and mouse game as both teams try to jockey for angles in the house, and if you can get a good angle set up, it only takes one shot at the end to move a lot of rocks, and we've seen a lot of that all weekend long. One of those weekends where it's too bad the producers haven't had time to go back and put together a highlight package of all the outstanding final shots that they've seen. It only takes one good angle for a lot of these top players, and we've seen some big scores go on the board.
Absolutely. We've with the level of play and these guys playing against one another, we've seen multiple 5-enders out there, which you rarely ever see. But every end, if you look back at the ends, there's a lot of times they could be 3, 4, even 5-point ends, and you're always that one shot away from it. And Kevin Cooey's been on the right side of that. He was one of those guys that scored the 5-ender with a couple brilliant shots, but they're not afraid to get a lot of rocks into play. Both these teams will be aggressive and try to set up, just like you said, the cat and mouse, just set up those rocks so that they set up for one of those big shots at the end, and it could lead to a really big score.
Looking to get close to the face on this red. They wouldn't mind breaking up the red-yellow angle as well. Really needed a little bit more curl there. He stayed on the high side, and that still leaves it in a position where it would be Bradley Thiessen now a chance to maybe get to the inside of that. He can roll in behind cover, squirt that top yellow out into the open, and the red in the middle is still going to make contact with the one at the back button and create a little bit more space in the forefoot. Not playing with this with the weight to kill anything, just move things around in the forefoot area.
Yeah, just reposition them.
Try to get the shooter into a good spot here.
Called Tyler on to try to get some curl out of this, so he's going to work really hard. This must have been set out there as it's taken a long time to come in, but here it comes. Tyler's really working this rock hard.
Gets just to the nose and not able to get the roll under cover, but that's probably enough. I mean, it's lined up the red-yellow combination at the top of the forefoot to leave the rings. It's not touching the red at the back button. The yellow from the back button has been moved into the 8-foot. Team Edin can't really make a play to hit and roll under the guard. If they do that, they're just going to jam the red onto their own stone. And I mean, they may have to play that, but they're not going to play with any weight. They're not going to try to kill their own.
Yeah, that's a tough little situation here. So to get the inside is an auto jam onto there. So we're going to figure out a way to just reposition this just a little bit.
And I mean, you might have to play that, but if you're going to play it, you're not going to play it with weight.
Nope.
Because the danger you have there, if you ever hit the red on the nose with a little bit of weight, not only are you driving it back onto the yellow, but then it rolls in behind cover as well. I could see them trying the same thing that Kevin Cooey just did, about 8-foot weight, back 8-foot weight, try to get to the inside of that red. Yes, you're going to jam it on the yellow, but you get your shooter under cover and the two reds would be open. The other shot that I see, and it's tough, but these guys can all make tough shots. You try to chisel the edge of the yellow onto the red stone at the back. They're looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like they're playing it. Be playing this with some weight. Try to hit what you can see, or maybe even a little less than what you can see of the yellow. Drive it onto the red. It'll kill the red, and I don't know if it's possible from this angle if you can spin that yellow up and in behind the corners. I guess not. Sticks it right there, so it is dead in behind the red stone, top 4.
I think they're expecting that to jump off that rock a little more. They kind of look a little shocked that it jams so solidly, because it does leave a short little tap back for Kevin here. But I think they were expecting, like you said, to kind of spin up a little bit to change that angle.
Expecting or hoping, maybe.
Hoping, yeah.
Yeah, it was tough to do that, but I think that's what they were hoping for. If you get it anything under the guard at all, then at least Kevin Cooey has to run this in on an angle, and he can't get the shooter buried. That's what Kevin's looking for here with Bradley Thiessen. Try to get just across the face. Make the short little run back. And you don't have to roll to dead buried. If you get a piece of the shooter under the guard, you can Christmas tree these. And again, though, they're sweeping for curl. This is plan B now. They've looked to straighten it out. Play the red tap back off the yellow and across to the other side. And does look like he's sitting too. Nothing buried. Does give Team Edin 2 choices again. He could come after shot rock, the one at the back of the 4-foot. That's what he looked at first. There is a hit and roll off the one in the 8-foot as well at, I think, a second shot. And there's 2 ways you could make this one. Just hit and roll buried for shot rock, or you could go after the double. In all likelihood, though, if they're playing the double, they're going to throw a lot more weight. So this isn't an either-or shot. They're going to make a decision on which one they're calling first.
It looks like they're going to run it right into that red one. It'd be tough to get rid of both reds, but they definitely want to roll right up to it to get behind corner or get behind cover.
I think the indication from Oscar, come across, make contact with the second one. They know they're going to lose their yellow behind it the way they want to hit it, but hoping to spin up in front as well. This is going to be a little thin on the first one, though, I think. And just slides behind the 2 stones on the other side of the house. So it is Cooey sitting 1 right now.
Yeah, it looked like the indication from himself was that he threw that down a little bit of what they're thinking. So just overcurled just a touch. And these guys are so precise. And, you know, just like you said, they want to make sure they get that weight call to match where they put the broom.
Tyler Tardy with the opportunity to come around the staggered centers. Needs to get 4-foot here, I think. If you don't have close to full 4, you're going to see Team Edin make a play on that back stone, try to roll to the back 4. It's pretty good. They still might be able to make a play off that back one and get buried for shot rock. Problem is, if you're not shot, a stone back there isn't helping you a whole lot. Also looking at the double peel. Yellow over the top of the red guard. It's going to come back into the situation in the house. You might be able to at least move 1 more red. You could corner freeze the stone that was just delivered, but that still leaves Cooey sitting 2.
Yeah, that placement of that shot was pretty good. It's hard to improve on where they managed to get that. It's definitely a little bit of a head scratcher for the guys to figure out exactly where they want this.
This is probably their only shot to get shot rock in a good position, and it's a tough shot. You're going to have to lose your own probably too, the one at the back 8-foot.
Yeah.
That one's not really helping them at this point in time. You do have to be a little careful. You're throwing a quiet hit here. If this takes off on you, you'd hate to jam and leave it in the back of the 12-foot somewhere.
And we've definitely seen a number of rocks over.
Well, this one's going. This one's doing exactly that. They get it by the guard, but it's going to jam. Oscar Eriksson ready with the brush. He will get it out the back, and that's critical because the shooter rolls out into the open. Kevin Cooey already thinking 3. Could play away from these guards if you wanted to make sure you're deuce.
Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity, though. They know how this comes in, and they know they can bury another one in here. So it's a great opportunity for them to generate towards a really big event or big end. Not looking at it very hard yet, though, Sean. So
my question would be, do you want? I mean,
here it comes.
Oscar Eriksson's going to call the double run if you make this shot perfect. And boy, if you bounce off, you could leave him the double. I think he left him enough to play the double. It's going to spin. I mean, you can't hit all of that rock. You can hit thick side of a half.
But with the weight these guys can accurately throw, you're right, that's spinning off there pretty easily. That's would be very hard to jam that. I think it would spin off and across the top of the yellow.
You probably have to hit a quarter. to worry about leaving that rock in the rings. He can see a lot more than that. Now, that still doesn't get him completely out of trouble. You make this double, you're going to have to roll away. Kevin Cooey's going to try to come around again, and there's still a potential there for a deuce. So Oscar's looking at, again, my Swedish is really terrible. But looking like he wants to maybe try to keep the shooter right there. So just kill the back one if that would be the case. I don't think you're ever going to make the double if you're trying to throw it quiet enough to keep your shooter. You will pop that stone that was just delivered out into the open somewhere. Might roll with your shooter, might stay right in behind it. And by doing that, he might give himself something to come off of with his last one if Kevin Cooey does elect to come around. Yeah, with that broom, I think he's gone back to, let's just blast it.
Yeah, I missed when he changed that call, but I'm looking at that broom going, okay, this is not going to stick around.
He's
There's the big high. No.
He's a little thin on the first one.
There's the spin effect and over the top. Is it enough? Oof.
He was very thin on that top rock, but it does spin all the way out the back of the ring. Still in play. Even if it hangs on for a bite at the back of the 12, I think Kevin Cooey's probably coming around the guards rather than hitting the Yellowstone in the 8-foot. This is a shot where you'd like to put this exactly in the same spot that Tyler Tardy put his first one. Oscar Eriksson was to freeze to that. You still have the whole 4-foot for your second point. Looks to have better line on this one than Tardy's second stone. Really starting to move now. Did they wait too long?
They called top 4 on the weight, so it might have shocked them a little bit because they're not quite. They didn't quite get there, so caught the sweepers a little off guard there.
It does get buried, but it's only second shot. They weren't on the brush on that for most of the way down. It did look like it had better line than Tardy's second shot. So they shouldn't have needed to wait for curl. They must have thought the weight was a little deeper than it was. Now, when it started to curl, did the weight come off? Did they maybe find a spot of fresh pebble?
Yeah, because the weight we're able to overhear the sweepers call out the weight that they thought it was top 4 on its own. So they weren't in any hurry to sweep that. But I think, yeah, the extra curl just caught them and it just grabbed in. As you can see, it over curled almost in a short period of time. So it really came down.
Chances there now for Oscar Eriksson to try to come around that stone at the top of the 8-foot. Sit 2. If he could bury this, he could make it very tough on Kevin Cooey to even score this end. He has a lot of room by the guards and by the stone in the just biting the top of the 8-foot. He'll come to rest, full 4. Just fully open. It was important to get that last little bit of curl. I don't think Kevin Cooey can get to the inside enough to make the double right now, but boy, if that curl's an inch less, there might be a double available there for 2.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that they didn't take the in-turn draw around the other side just in case for that situation of either bouncing off or just leaving it out a little wide. But no, they edge on edge, so accomplished their task and forces Kevin into making a really nice lightweight takeout to sit their 1. Looks like a nice controlled shot.
Calling out Hack, just waiting for the line, has to get close to the nose. He's got a little bit of room to roll. Rolls maybe 2 inches. Keeps a piece of the forefoot. After 2 ends of play, the teams have exchanged singles. And Team Edin with last rock in the tie game when we come back for the third. Sean Joyce, Jeff Chambers on the call here for the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown final between Team Edin, Team Cooey, tied up 1 apiece after 2 ends of play. Center guard thrown up by the Cooey team here to start things in this third end, and as we were coming back from the break, you saw the come around attempt just chip off the guard. Eric Martin now looking to place another guard right on the center line. No time clocks here this week in Swift Current, and I only mention that because Oscar Eriksson, this rock was only halfway down and he's already called the come around. He's not banking time, he just knew what he was going to play.
Yes, one thing I noticed, they don't. This team does not take a lot of time to go over things. They'll meet when they have to, but they have a game plan. They go at it, and they do not take a lot of time to call their shots, and they've been very successful in that style of play and technique.
Well, and you know, it's interesting too, because Eriksson not normally the skip of this team. He is an accomplished skip himself prior to joining this team, but of course, Niklas Edin, normally the skip.
Yeah, through some comments, he said it was a lot easier the transition last weekend when he was kind of thrown in right into the middle of the event where he had to take over, and he said the nerves were up a little bit because it was a different thing, but a few of the other teams were having some fun with it with him as skip, and he said it relaxed him, and he fell into a role really well as he won the event.
Yeah, the bigger problem you would have in the middle of an event like that is he comes in not having read the ice like all the other teams by that point in time. He's fresh, trying to figure out all the paths. Didn't seem to affect them last week. Certainly doesn't seem to have hurt them this week.
No, and this is just, I'll take a time to take a shout out for this team as well. With all their traveling, tough traveling schedule, playing three-handed, lots going on with, concern for their skip and Niklas and how he's doing. But they've been taking full they've been helping full out at this event. Even Saturday night, they were up. They brought out their gold Olympic medals, and they did signings, and they did pictures, and a lot of kids in the area, which were fantastic. So I just, a shout out to this team for their first class efforts and taking full part of this event.
Looking to try to move a couple of guards here. Thin on the first one and thin enough that it's over the top of the second. So just kills the one. Gives the Cooey team the choice of which one they want to come around. Neither of the guards right on the center line, so they have to go a little bit wide to get around it. We did see a couple of attempts from the in-turn side, or I guess the out-turn side, considering it's the left-hander. Rather decent throwing here. Saw a couple of come-arounds from the other side in the first end, but that guard, of course, was right on the center line. Able to get about half under cover, just biting the top of the 8-foot.
It's almost as if the further out that they go, the more they get some late swing on those rocks, because halfway down that rock was probably at the edge of the 12-foot, and you can see the big finish on there. So guys are learning the ice, figuring it out. They've already had one game today, so just like I thought, we're going to see some great shot making from both of these teams, and some really neat situations for us.
Well, here is one of those situations. You might be inclined to think that Eriksson would just look at the straight run back, or even over the top, try to get the one in the rings, but that stone in the rings, just biting the 8-foot, doesn't concern him nearly as much as the two guards. So he's trying to look at, is there a way that we can make the double on the guards, catch the back end of one of them, and carry the shooter through, perhaps into the rings, maybe even make contact with that one in the 12-foot. So Rasmus Rana with big weight here, looking to at least double peel the guards and maybe carry the shooter through. Oh. Very thin on the first one, doesn't catch the second one at all. Continues to be Cooey sitting one, although it's open. He does have another guard to work with. If you come around it, though, you have to be a little bit careful on the placement now, because Eriksson could come off the open red stone, make a double, and maybe sit buried. The left-handers are taking over, Jeff.
I see that. It's very rare to, it's very rare to see that out in the curling sheet. Never mind, there's three of them. Yeah.
Now they were looking for the come around. This one a little light, ends up as a guard, and staggered guard at that.
Yeah, you saw Carrick's expression after that one, a hard sweep all the way down, and that's kind of worst case scenario when you cross them over like that and overlap them.
Well, it isn't it? It's not the end of the world. Eriksson's probably going to have to make a play on the shot stone. You did see him indicate we'll try to roll underneath, but with as high as that stone is, by the time you roll under, you're still going to be just full 12, maybe in middle of the 8. If you make it perfect, so Kevin Cooey's got no chance to hit it, and nothing he could run back, he may just elect to wrap one right around everything, and then that stagger, if you make the draw, works in your favor.
Goes in his favor then.
Yeah.
So it's very close on this one.
If you're Eriksson, do you want to make this perfect?
Well, he did, so we're going to find out.
Yeah. Actually, I'd say he overrolled it, if anything, because he's left a lot of room to come around from that out-turn side. Tyler Tardy, a little light on his first attempt. Crusher's saying it's T-line. They'll wait on the line on this. Switching the sweep now to get the extra curl. And you know, this is not the first stone that we've seen this game. I don't know whether the ice is just a little heavier than what they're used to, but that front end, which is usually so good at judging the weight, have missed the call on a couple. That stone just half in the 12-foot, and they were calling T-line.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been down there to update the times on the speed of the rocks, but I have a feeling with this extra curl that they're experiencing today, that they're probably it's a little slower than what they are used to. So yeah, it takes some adjustment for sure.
I was just about to ask. It looks like Oscar Eriksson has answered the question for me. Is there enough of that red stone left for Cooey to play it onto shot stone? And it looks like Eriksson thinks there is. Not sure there's much you can do about that.
No, I think you're going to have to leave that for him, and I would say that the shot is right where his broom is. It's just to draw around there and let Kevin hit that shot, and then see if you can loop another one.
It matters to the placement on this one, though. If you think that raise is there and Cooey can stick it in the 8-foot, you have to come deep enough with this one to make sure you're still shot rock. Well, now the problem is if you start coming too deep into the 4-foot, Kevin Cooey just freezes to the face of your stone, and that buried stone never ends up on the scoreboard. I do think you have to play the draw. I think all the discussion, and again, we don't know for sure because I don't speak Swedish, but I think all the discussion is about just exactly how deep do we want to be here. And these aren't area plays at this level. They're not, put it within 2 feet of where I'm talking about. They're going to be talking exactly where they want this, splitting the top of the 4-foot or whatever it happens to be, whatever the decision was. They're looking to put these to a very precise spot. A lot of room yet by the stone in the 12-foot. It is moving pretty hard.
Yeah, we've noticed how fast how the weight comes down once it hits that big move. How fast those rocks are coming down as they enter in the house. It's caught both teams a little by surprise with the weight.
Yeah, it's hard to say if Kevin can see enough of this stone, but those 2 yellows beside each other, if he can drive it to the inside of the yellow stone that was already there, the potential is there that he could double those 2 yellows. I think they definitely wanted a rock's width deeper than that anyway.
For sure.
Seemed to come down in a hurry. They were waiting, though, of course, for the line. It had a lot of room by the stone as it was coming into the rings. You knew it was going to go sideways, though.
I think those guys are talking about it in the back. You can see Oscar moving his broom and talking about that. Yeah, they just got to figure out how that weight's coming off as it's finishing.
Kevin Cooey not going to like it this time. Makes the hit, comes across, nudges that stone. Still, I think it is the yellow stone belonging to Team Edin that is shot rock. The raised stone from Cooey is second shot, but mostly buried. Oscar's first thought was to come around from what would be his outturn side. And the concern you have to have here is you make this draw. You know that Kevin Cooey, if you're buried, he's going to walk over, hit the open one, and try to roll flat to the corner of the button behind the stone at the top 8-foot. If you ever slide too deep on this draw attempt too, he could play the double.
Yeah, no, you got to be pretty precise. You want to definitely be just ahead of the tee line on this one.
You'll take all the curl you can get on this one coming into the house. You'd love to get close to the center line, but if you look at the wider of the two guards, you'd have to almost completely overbury that guard, as if it was the only guard, as if it came out the other side.
Yeah, placement is important. If he puts us just on the top four where he was looking for a little while, that would allow Kevin to hit his red over and just kind of split them off. So, yeah, it's pretty precise where they need to leave this rock.
And again, with Eriksson being the left-hander, when he joins the sweep, it puts both brushers on their stronger side.
Oh, it's very good.
Brings it down. It is dead buried on the wider of the two guards. Kevin's first thought was to just straight draw. Tyler's wondering if they don't have enough that they could hit it. I'm still wondering, do you ever think about playing the hit and roll off the yellow in the 8-foot? You play the hit and roll, think about where you're hitting it. When your rock makes contact, you're still a solid foot in front of the tee line. You could probably roll to the back corner of the button in behind a wall of rocks. And it is second shot. The danger of playing any kind of draw is if you leave any piece, it's a shot for 3.
It could be for 3. That's what I was thinking myself, where if they came down and just, even if they tap back, like with back 4, tap that red one back, at least it would tighten up the rings big time for the draw, and it would only be for 2 most likely. So they've decided, looks like they're going for the draw, but that's not a lot of ice there. Did they decide on the hit and roll? Did you see that, Sean?
I didn't. You know, it's one of those things, they're talking to each other. They don't really need to gesture for us as much as we might like it.
I'm just to get to that doesn't look like, from what we've seen, the ice to get around that one on the top 8.
It might be from the outturn side now. He tightened up the broom. I'm wondering if he's not hitting. Tyler's already in a crouch behind the rock. This could be the hit.
Yeah, he'd play this firm, so.
Nope. Yeah, he is. I thought he'd be throwing a little bigger weight when he was looking for this flat of a roll. Makes the hit now. Where's the roll going to end up?
That is a curling shot.
Rolls right to the button. Now there is a sliver of that stone left available. And if you're Oscar Eriksson, all you have to do is move it 2 feet. So can you throw heavy draw? Count on going by that stone.
That is just, the overhead makes that look maybe a little easier, but when you're looking at that shot head on, that does not look like that shot is there.
But if you've been here all week long, you know, it might be. And I don't know what else he's got. He's got to move it to count. It's covering the pin. Well, if you've got to move it 6 inches, you may as well try to move it 2 feet and see if you can't get 2 points out of it.
Yeah, that was just an absolute beautiful shot by Cooey.
Moving it on a bit of an angle because he's never going to get to the nose, so he needs good back 8-foot to move this far enough, maybe almost back 12. You think that sounds like a lot when you're only trying to move it 2 feet, but you're not moving it 2 feet straight. You're going to be moving it on a pretty steep angle. Final stone here for Oscar Eriksson in number 3 of a tie game, facing 1 Cooey counter. If you can move this far enough, might be able to pick up 2 here. Has to move it some just to get a single. Rasmus has been on the sweeps since right out of his hand. The line is nice. Now the question is, does he have enough weight to move it? He'll bump it, but just far enough to pick up the single point. His shooter put 1 point on the board. Team Edin with a 2-1 lead after 3 ends of play, and It'll be Kevin Cooey after an outstanding hit and roll with last rock when we come back for the fourth end.
The roaring game. We all love it, but sometimes curling just isn't as fun as it can be on the Nintendo Switch. Don't get stuck in your curling club this year. Learn the game inside and out. Play for your favorite country and take the curling world by storm. With up to 4 players per console, you can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling. Available now only on Nintendo Switch.
Fourth end underway here. Lead stones, a couple of them already in play. It was the Edin team playing the center guard, and we talked about it in the second end. Kevin Cooey electing to come around in the second. We thought perhaps he might throw a corner here in the fourth, and he does. Christopher Sundgren with his second stone. The come around just comes to rest there at top button. Behind cover, and now Carrick Martin will look to follow that stone down. I think it's Carrick himself. I could hear pleading for that stone to curl at the end, and he did get some nice finish at the end. Leaves it on a bit of an angle, but the edge of the red stone is buried, so that angle actually works to Cooey's favor. Christopher Sundgren now going to look to come down, and ideally you'd like to get to the inside of that red stone and leave an angle where they could make the red go away. Now this is the problem they had 2 ends ago. They couldn't get over the top of the stone on any of these freeze attempts.
See the great communication between them there, working together for line and the weight.
Rasmus Rana's brush will not leave the ice completely very often. He likes to keep that brush down, be ready. Really, for the most part, just cleaning until he hears the call, the sweep, and then you'll see the speed pick up. Sits in the top of the 8-foot. They just didn't want to sweep that until it got to the inside, so leaves it a little bit short, but the angle works for them. 5 rocks have come to rest now. Kevin Cooey going to ask Bradley Thiessen to move the guard. And is he playing this? You have straight back here might almost. We saw saw this before, playing surgery and getting 3 yellows, leaving the reds. If he's going to do it this time, he actually needs to use the red in the middle. Takes just the 2. But he hit it just ever so slightly off nose, so the shot stone at the back button now is probably half exposed.
You have to be pretty careful where you're putting these rocks. You've got Cooey with the hammer and 2 of his red rocks nice and close to the house, so it's enough to put a little bit of fear into you. So you want to make sure you get these rocks into play and force the action in.
Forces Eriksson to come to the other side to call for this come around now. Still looking for the corner freeze on the red. And it's a subtle thing, but it's not insignificant. You've got Eriksson playing from the other side now, and now everything is being played on the side of the sheet where potentially Kevin Cooey might have the chance to roll behind the corner guard yet and set something up. Room by the guard. Wants to get to the corner of that red, not to the face so much. And again, the rocks do seem to be dying on them in the house in this final, perhaps more than they have been earlier in the event. Even looks to me like they'd be right down to the face on that one, and it seemed to stop in a hurry.
Yeah, and ice conditions obviously are always hard to maintain, especially when weather's changing. The weather's been pretty good for the most part here in Swift Current, but today we've got, just in the last 2 hours, we've just got rain showers that have been absolutely steady here. So anytime you have those rain showers, the moisture sneaks in, as good as this building is. So it'll be tough to maintain pure ice conditions. So the teams will have to really be aware of any kind of changes in the conditions for sure as we go on.
So looking for another run back here from Thiessen. On the front one, he might have overcurled on this one. Catches the yellow, but drives it onto their own second shot. Does leave the red at the top of the 8-foot. But the situation now not quite as good for Cooey. He had a really good angle on the 2 and the 4-foot before.
Lots of fans checking out the action nice and close down. It's hard to see right behind the glass there. You'll see it's pretty full of people trying to get a sneak peek. Definitely the view from up above is much better. And of course with SaskTel curling stadium at our curling club here, they're able to see all the action upstairs as well. But right front and center are the Merricks with Bernal Bridle back there checking out some action as well. So bringing everybody out today to watch.
Now, are you suggesting when he's the mayor that he got VIP seating, or did he have to pay extra for that chair?
We probably charged extra. No, very good supporter of our community. We've been very fortunate the last the couple mayors. Dennis Perot before this was so active and such a big part of getting huge events to Swift Current, and Al Bridle supporting us as well. And it's more of a testament to Chris Eichert, the general manager, also avid curler that was out playing in this event with Steve Laycock, arranging to get such big events here in Swift Current. And I've said it along, but we're a small city, and to get such high caliber curling right here in Swift Current is just a testament to what we're able to do thanks to SaskTel Curling Stadium and the Curling Zone, and just the new coverage to link everybody around the world to watch. And now with CBC covering some online streaming, it's just a fantastic opportunity for smaller communities to make a big part in the curling world.
Kevin Cooey actually called the team down and wanted everybody to take a look at this angle. I think what they're talking about is if we hit the red guard come across, can we catch the back end of the yellow and get the shooter into the rings? So he could get both of the guards out of the middle that way, and you have to defer really to the players on the ice. From the camera behind the sheet, it looks like this goes under the yellow, but they think it's there, so they're going to take a pass at it. You can't hit thicker than that. So we'll just peel the guard.
Tyler just not quite as sharp on his preciseness as we've come to notice with him. He's had such a great record and at such a young age proven himself as a world-class curler, and having a little trouble with the line today. Could be his body's a little sore, just a little adaptation to the ice, but not as sharp as we've seen him, but still making high percentage shots along the way. But it's easy to get fooled along the way for sure.
Erickson talked about a couple of different options. The first option was just to throw another guard. He did discuss coming around from the intern side for Rasmus. The problem with that is right now, Kevin Cooey can only see half of that red one. He can't do much with it in the lineup they're at. But if you try to come around the other side and leave one wider, he actually would have something he could run that red onto. So you play the guard here. You know Kevin Cooey's likely going to have to try to move at least one of them.
That was terrific separation to get it up there, so that does not make for any kind of easy, obviously, double of any sort. It's there, but just makes it a lot harder to be more accurate on it. So definitely going to get Kevin thinking here.
And I thought I heard something about backline tap on the red, was it? Or are they looking to come around the other side? There is room to come around from the out-turn side for Tyler. Come down to the shot rock, and you'd never be able to throw it with enough weight to kill it, but you could probably pop it out into the open.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look like that at these camera angles, but we've been watching enough to know that there's such great late finish, and you get the right sweeper on it at the right time, and they can really, as they say, carve it in there. So that the shot is there.
They looked at it, but I think they're going to opt for attempting the double peel. There is some danger that the second stone comes in, kills your red off the top of the 8, but really, at this point in the end, that stone not helping you a ton anyway. Gets one, drives it by the second. Shooter will roll out of play as well.
Little slip by Tyler coming out of the hacks on that one, but he got his balance back right away, and it looked like he had it. Actually, Kevin thought he had it too. So just slipped by that back one.
Let me ask you another question, Jeff. If you're Oscar Erickson, nobody's looked at it yet, but they all know it's there, and it's Kevin Cooey. If this was
long angle
Kevin Cooey's last shot, he's playing the angle raise in for 2. And
do you worry about that, or do you almost bring him in? Do you wire him in to play that shot?
Not if it's for 2. That's what I'm saying. If it's Kevin Cooey, you do worry about it, and that's got to be what this discussion is about. They're wondering, when is the time do we come in for second shot? Because you hate to leave him that shot for 2. You just keep throwing guards. He plays that with his last one. If he makes it, you're down.
Choosing to come in with this one, this is it has to be very precise. We've talked about those little kiss-offs and how harmful and damaging they can be, and this is definitely one of those situations where a little kiss-off would be not very good. They got a lot of ice on this one.
Well, I think he's actually coming around his own to the back forefoot,
Okay.
so that Kevin Cooey won't be able to tap that yellow at all. He doesn't really have access to it from this side, but he could come around from, Kevin, we're back to right-handers, he could come around from what would be his in-turn side and try to move that to the back forefoot. If you're sitting behind it, can't do that. Well, at least I thought that's what they gestured. This looks like they're just corner freezing the red. Well, it does give Kevin the option to make a play on it now, or you could hit the stone that Oscar Eriksson just threw over the top of the red and have it come straight back. What Kevin's looking at, coming through the port of the two guards, and if you just look at the yellow in the button and the red at the top of the 8-foot, he can see a quarter of it around that rock. The guard isn't really a factor as far as getting to that back one. The question will be, how far can he move this? Like, he can't see a lot of it. He can't throw, hack weight, try to get it out. With the stone that Oscar Eriksson just threw, if you're moving it on the angle, you've got to move it at least, what would you say, Jeff, 1.5 feet, maybe closer to 2 feet to get it out into the open.
Yeah, but and that brings up the danger. If he hits the wrong angle and he bounces over, he gives Oscar the in off to hide one too. So
he's seeing the over the top
shot. Yeah, that's why they're coming back. They're going to have another look.
I'm not sure what Oscar was ultimately playing, but I don't think they wanted it where it ended up. You play this tight yellow across the top of the red goes straight back. And this is right in Kevin's wheelhouse, and plus, by putting it as tight to the rings as they did, there's not a ton of separation between these rocks.
It's quite funny. A lot of times when we see all four players come down, Carrick and Bradley are very active in the calls and the talking, but in this situation, I don't think they wanted to call this one. They were just going to come down, look at it, and no, you guys can figure this one out.
Well, that other shot is kind of an all or nothing. This one, there's a couple of ways that things can come out, and at least you have a shot for your last one. Albeit, if you ever just make the double off the top two, you're not going to have any shot for two. If he makes the angle double raise and stuffs it, he could have a shot for two, and Kevin Cooey is capable of making those shots.
That would be one for the highlight reel again, and Kevin's part of that in every event that he plays.
This is close.
No.
Oh, just a little thin on the first one, drives it by the back. He does have two ways at shot rock now, though.
Well, if Oscar can manage to come in with his shot and put it right where the broom is and put those two together, that's going to be very, very difficult for Kevin to maneuver it. Yeah, he will not be happy with that outcome.
No. But again, as I said, he's got two ways in, so Oscar can't just lob a guard up there. Really, the only way he guards is if he comes to the top of the forefoot.
I think the best case scenario here is just honestly to try to freeze this one. If he freezes on this, Kevin will have a very difficult time to try to score.
Oscar Eriksson with his final stone here in this fourth end. Leading by one without last rock. Looking to sit three and also put his rocks in a position where it's going to be hard for Kevin Cooey. He has to move the stone on the button already to have any chance to score.
Well, I would say mission accomplished. That took away the
I think it's the angle triple.
Turn too.
It's the angle triple for the blank. It's all he's got.
That's a piece of cake.
Well, the saving grace for Kevin on this, again, there's not a lot of room between the first two stones. So it when there's not a ton of separation, it does make it a little bit easier. You're hopeful that you're going to make contact with at least two. You need to be pretty fortunate to get the third one. With the weight he throws, if you make contact with two of them, you're expecting that they're both going to leave.
It's definitely there,
Yeah.
but I mean,
it's really tough with where
you're firing a lot of weight, and Kevin is one of the most accurate up weight throwers in the game, but it never makes it any easier to hit it exactly where you need. He just looks like a quarter of the rock here to me is the angle that they're going to need with some up weight. Maybe half a rock.
Yeah, I think that's too thin because he's got to hit the second one on a sharper angle. You've got to catch the one at the top of the 4 foot first, the one that Oscar Eriksson just threw, but you have to kind of catch the back end of it. Kevin now looking, can we make it just the tick double? It would almost be a tick triple. Just rub the inside of that yellow stone that's sitting in the top of the 8 foot, redirect the shooter onto the one that was just thrown. That's there too, but really tough. Neither of the shots is easy. Probably going to opt for the slash in, the angle slash in, just because you're making thicker contact on the first stone. It's a little easier to call the line. To make that rub shot off the stone at the top 8 foot, you're looking to hit less than a quarter, and that's never comfortable to throw at.
No, almost just a simple redirect, right? And there's nothing simple about those.
No.
One of the hardest shots to call in curling. Well, we're going to get to see the up weight. This is what the fans this is what they want. So this is right up the alley of everybody. Kevin loves to throw them. People love to see them. So here we go. Crowd pleaser.
Final stone, fourth end, Kevin Cooey. Trailing by one, facing three. All he's got is an angle run. Looking to kill as many as he can. It's close. Catches it. Misses the second stone, and by doing that, jams the one on the button. It's a steal of two for Team Edin here, and they will take a 4-1 lead after 4 ends of play. Kevin Cooey didn't miss it by much, but not missing it by much still puts 2 points on the other side of the scoreboard.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
You can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling.
Kevin Cooey with his final stone, a chance to at least make a double, cut the damages. A little unfortunate. We were looking at the replay, Jeff, both of us in the break, and he wouldn't have had to hit it much differently to at least get rid of 2 of those. And it's a big difference, a 2-point lead versus a 3-point lead as we begin playing the 5th end. For Kevin Cooey now, you know, you're going to play for 2, but that still leaves you behind without.
Yeah, puts him in a tough spot for sure. And like I said, it was a little unfortunate to get in the situation that he had. And but boy, we just about saw the extreme Kevin Cooey special there. And when we say it missed by like a little bit, it's like a quarter of an inch, and he probably makes that run triple, which would have been just epic out there, but just misses by a hair and gives up a steal of 2. So it'll be a tough battle back now.
They're going to start off this 5th end by throwing corner guards on opposite sides. Team Edin really doesn't have to force the play here. They throw the first 2 stones into the rings. You might see them throw a guard now that they've got 2 stones in the middle.
I was looking over the Edin rank this year, and obviously we know how good these guys are. They're ranked number 2 in the world, just behind Gushu. And what a season they've had. Like they won the Oslo Cup in Norway to start off, then they traveled to Canada, won the Toronto Tankard, then moved over to North Bay, Ontario, where they lost a clutch final against Gushu, where they battled the big Titans, battled out, and then went to Grand Prairie last weekend and went undefeated in Grand Prairie. So, and undefeated here as well. So they're just on a tear right now. So they have nothing but confidence. And even though there's 3 of them, they're playing so strong. And Rana should get an award for all the sweeping he's been doing. And just like you said, he's always got a broom down. It's either on one side or the other. But you talk about a guy that's going to be pretty tired after this weekend.
Well, there are some advantages to the brusher if you're only playing with 3, and that you only have to sweep 5 rocks instead of 6. But the downside is you're the inside guy on every rock, so you don't get to take any. You don't get to take any off.
You're being pretty optimistic, even though there's only 5.
Hey, I go back to the corn broom days. So when you had to sweep 6 rocks, you were sweeping all 6. There was none of this inside outside one sweeper stuff.
That is true.
Hard line.
And honestly, for anybody that complains about how hard the work is to sweep these days, I'd like to just hand them a corn broom and see how long they last. It is a different game.
That it is.
And that one looked like it must have picked.
Yeah, they give up on that about halfway down. So it whatever happened to that rock, it happened pretty early because Kevin called them off literally halfway down, just almost to give up on it because they knew it was taking off.
So taps up the center guard, but does leave himself 3 red guards. Team Edin sitting 3 in the house now, all in a line, that center line area. If nothing else, they've at least they've confused Team Edin here. It's like we're 3 points up. We don't really need rocks in play, but here we
and not only putting them in play, they're about to guard them now.
Yeah, he might like to be hitting something, but you're in such a good spot in the center of the house right now. You throw a guard here and you force the Cooey team to take a few rocks just to clean up the middle. As long as they're trying to clean up the middle, they're not trying to set up a big end.
Yeah, there's a lot of junior teams at home right now going, well, my coach would have told me, go up and clean out the front. When you're 3 up.
And conversely here, Kevin Cooey, he could play an angle run in on one of his own. The problem is he loses the shooter there. If he plays the yellow one straight back, and he is 3 down. He needs rocks in play. You keep the shooter in play that way. Seen Bradley Thiessen move 3 rocks a couple of times. The potential there to move actually 4 this time. Only gets the top 2, but does keep the shooter for another corner guard. Erickson asking for this guard to be perhaps just a little bit tighter. Maybe underneath the corner of that red stone just to take away the angle.
Yeah, if they could just put this just on the edge of just in front of the red rock or just behind it, but just almost edge on edge, it makes the shot a lot harder for Kevin to try to run it in.
Yeah, the 2 stones that are sitting there now, you could probably run that red in, make the double, and keep not just the run back stone, but also keep the shooter for another corner guard. So you don't want to give him the chance to even play that. Tuck the corner of this. Well, they're going to have to go to get it by the red.
Big
Not
swing
going
right
to,
now.
but plan B now.
That rock was going sideways by the end.
Moved it over a little bit, but not so far that you could still, if you're Kevin Cooey, play the red back onto the double. The problem with that is, even if you make that, after you make that, there's not a lot of ways into the house.
Yeah, one thing about Kevin is he's one of the most patient skips there is, so he'll still try to jockey position rather than worry too much about making the big shot early, but he's figuring out a way to get a red rock in this house. He's taking a look at how many rocks are gone already. It's like, okay, we got to start getting ours inside now and to generate an end here.
Doesn't want to lose too many guards here. The last thing I saw him gesture, and I think that might be the shot to go with, talking about driving the yellow back over the top of the one in the 8-foot. So you can make all 3 yellows go and roll the shooter off the center line. But I think they're going to opt for the run back we talked about. The red, the one pretty much directly in front of Kevin. Back on the slight angle onto the stone at the top of the 8-foot. If you get this just slightly over the top of the yellow top 8, you could double the yellows, at the very least move both yellows. Leave the run back stone in the rings.
Was Tyler asking for some more ice there? I thought it was ice pretty tight for control as well, and he asked for a little bit more ice. He had a couple overdraw. This was a beauty.
Moves both of them, doesn't get either one of them out of the rings. It is the Edin stone on the edge of the 8-foot, side of the 8-foot, sitting shot rock. The stone that was just run back is second at the top of the 8. There's the little biter at the back 12. Not a lot of ways left to get into the house, though. And the one yellow guard is directly in line to the one red stone in the ring, so they're going to play the run back. Rasmus with the hit. Got to be careful hitting it on that side.
Wow. Did not see that one coming.
No, well, I don't think they did either. They were on the sweep most of the way. I don't think they thought they were going to be that far off of picking it. Actually gets it over the top of his own shot rocket corner of the 8-foot. But that does leave room now for Tyler Tardy with his second stone here. Try to come around those 3 guards that are grouped. And if he could sit anywhere near the corner, that yellow stone that's shot rock, he could get shot rock, and Oscar Ericsson's got no way to get at it to take it out.
No, those guards crossed over each other now, so
everything
good opportunity for Kevin. Got to get this one buried, though. Looks like the line's great. The sweepers keep the weight. And they did. Fantastic shot. Big shot from Tyler when they really needed it. So
this might be scoreboard dictated. You're up by 3. The first shot Oscar was looking at, just peel the yellow guard. You're going to peel it into the red, spin it somewhere in towards the house, but make sure that you've got an open hit for your last one so you're not giving up more than 2. Even 2 up, you might have had to play this. That was a great draw by Tyler Tardy.
yeah, a lot of times you'd see them fall right down to try to do another corner freeze on that red one to shrink down the house.
Yeah, but tough right now with as well as he placed that stone. You'd have a hard time getting on the corner for shot. There's still enough room to come around to the other side of the 4-foot to sit a second shot for Cooey, so you have to make sure you got a shot with your last one. He's looking to just peel 2 here. I don't think the third one moves at all. Well, it does. They must have been touching.
No more hiding. Yeah.
No, well, he's got one hiding spot. He could hide, but the stone that's currently shot stone's going to be open.
Yep.
You have to be careful with this not to come deep enough that Oscar Eriksson has a chance for the double. And if you're in tight enough to be second shot, you might have to leave a double. So do you have to throw this one a little bit higher? You know that otherwise Oscar Eriksson can't roll towards the middle. If he rolls towards the middle, he's going to kill his own stone. So you don't necessarily have to be shot rock here or even second shot, because you know that when Oscar hits that red, he's going to have to leave you a double.
Yes, it'll be very close for sure. I think what they're going to try to do is an optimal shot is just bite the 4 on the other side, which would keep them perfectly buried on that side and probably force the action to the open stone where they will have that chance at the double.
Dead even though at the deepest. You could be a little bit higher than the stone that's open. You can't be behind it.
No, just ahead of T-line and biting that 4. Sweepers are pretty happy with it right off. Just keeping it clean. Light little sweep, indicating that they're pretty happy with the weight. Looks like it's got to curl quite a bit though. Here it comes.
It needs the weight.
And we know that shot in the past. Yeah, this is they had no sense of urgency right from the beginning there, and that come up well short.
So just a little discussion over how much weight they want to throw at this. And does it matter? Is that back stone biting? Because if the back one's biting at all, you could play fairly aggressively, and that's, I see Christopher taking a quick look over his shoulder. You could play fairly aggressively for the roll, not too worried if you lose your own off the side of the 8-foot, because if you get in behind, there's a chance for the steal. If you lose your own on the side of the 8-foot, but that stone in the back is the biting, you're still going to have the force.
Yeah, I know it's definitely, it looks out from our perspective, but it's on an angle for us, so definitely it'd be worth having a look at. We're going to find out, because they're going to get pretty much a nose.
Well, it might still matter, because Kevin Cooey's got a shot for the blank if it's out.
Well, they didn't even go back and look at it, so they must have looked at it before and judged that it was out to or was the indication? Yeah, no, he's definitely playing the double here.
Yeah, it does look out from the overhead camera. But so Kevin Cooey will be looking with this final stone to hit about half a rock. Hit half a rock, double the yellows, roll the shooter all the way across and out of play. That's the attempt. Kevin Cooey here, facing 2. Trailing by 3, wants the blank if he can get it. Catches them both. Everything goes around that yellow at the back. Does look like it's out of the rings. Nobody looking at it too hard. I think it was even Oscar that pushed it off. So we do have a blank end here in the 5th. But Oscar Eriksson, skipping Team Edin, will maintain the 3-point lead going into the 6th.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Sean Joyce, Jeff Chambers here with you live from the final of the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown, Swift Current Curling Club. Team Niklas Edin playing three-handed for the entire event. Coming into this final undefeated and now with a 3-point lead as we begin play in the 6th. Kevin Cooey calling for the second corner guard and for the second end of the row looking to split the rings with those corners. For the second end in a row, Oscar Eriksson with the first 2 brought into the house in the middle. Now going to look to throw the guard.
Yeah, it's amazing, Sean, how many ends we watch, no matter who's playing, and how the ends set up very similar. Like, this is a very typical kind of start in this situation, but it's just amazing how by the end of it, or even 3/4 through an end, we never have the same situation twice. It's amazing how the rocks could move around and change, even though at the start it's so similar.
Start of the ends tends to follow. There's only a handful of scripts that they follow for the 5-rock 3-guard zone.
And then it seems after this, it's just a matter of how we reposition rocks, but very rarely do we ever see the same setup or same situation ever twice. So It's a beautiful thing about this game of curling and the strategists out there. And it's when you go to Coffee Row, at least you got something to always talk about. It, like, why did he play this shot? How come he didn't do this? And it's a good conversation starter for sure. And well, we got two of the world's best here showing us how they like to do it. So it's pretty neat.
Bradley Thiessen has made some outstanding runbacks in this game, this time being asked to come around, tap a stone back and roll behind the corner. But he's just going to rub that stone, and actually now all three yellows dead in line, and the shooter rolls through. Oscar Eriksson doesn't want to get into the same messy situation as he had last end. He's just going to look to straight peel the corner guard. You saw him walk up and look at the angles. He's not looking at, he doesn't want to move to here. He just wants to make sure where he has to hit this to roll underneath the center guard. A little thick on the first contact. It still gets underneath. Just the lineup on those three yellow stones in the middle is so good. I'm sure he didn't want to disturb that rock at all.
Just an update for the fans out there too. They a lot of people have just joined us recently in the last couple ends, and they might be wondering why the Edin team is only going with three. And just to let everybody know, Niklas suffered a knee injury in the last event in Alberta, and he's flown home to get some surgery on that so that he can hopefully bounce back without too long. But that's the guys have switched over to three-handed last weekend, and they carried it into this event. So just so that the new viewers are aware of why there's only three guys out there working hard.
The smart aleck in me is thinking if anybody's just joining now, we should have made up an answer and left them really wondering what was going on. Yeah, they fired him. They were looking there for the corner freeze to the shot stone. They've had some struggles with their weights. That one comes up a little bit light, but it does get a good angle on this stone at the top of the 8-foot. Still creates a bit of a problem for Team Edin. They can play the peel on the corner. The problem now is that corner guard's so close to the center one, it's real hard not to move the center guard. That's what they're looking at. How thin do we have to hit this? If we come into the side of it, is that any good for us?
This is where that you hope they paid attention in geometry class.
Well, you still have to convince the rocks to cooperate.
That's true. These guys are pretty good at their angles, and world number 2 ranked. I think they've played enough shots that they definitely know their angles and their percentages.
Well, I think they're talking about the double peel and hoping to get the back end of the yellow and maybe get the shooter to squirt forward and still provide some cover in the ring. So I'm just going by where they keep tapping the brooms. It kind of looks like that's what they're thinking. It's paper thin on the first red one to get completely underneath the yellow. Takes the hit, comes across, actually does get underneath the yellow. I don't think they thought they were coming underneath even when they hit, because you saw Oscar Eriksson jump up and start to sweep thinking it was going to hit the back end of that yellow. That was definitely the best result for them.
Yeah, that definitely didn't hurt them. So Kevin's going to try a little corner freeze, and not a lot of room to work with here, as you can see by this angle. That's a small little area to try to sneak a rock into. Great shot, Tyler. He's on a roll lately in the last few. He's made some real big pistols and some real big draws when they need him. So it's good to see him bounce back. He struggled a little early with the line and weight, but he's sure got it figured out now. And you heard Kevin there tell the sweepers to kind of stay on that a little bit more, as they've lost a couple rocks a little bit short, but they made no mistake there.
So everything's angled. The only way Team Edin can remove a red stone here is to play the guard straight back. They're going to lose one of their own as well. Rasmus again with the big weight. To hit this very close to right on the nose. This is curling across. Actually puts it onto his own. And some good cat-like reflexes to keep the stone off the divider from affecting play. It ended up going out of the rings anyway, so a little fortunate there for Rasmus when he drove it by the red at the top of the 12-foot. Still managed to kill one red stone, the one at the edge of the 4-foot. So it's Team Edin sitting one right now on the button. Team Cooey with a little bit more room to work now. They do have stone at the top of the 12. They can move it straight back, get it towards shot rock. I think they wanted that to curl just a hair more. He does tap the shot stone back, but doesn't keep them in line, so now there's a chance to make a double on the reds. That does not.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was a weight issue or what, because they were trying to get that to curl up and to get hidden so that they didn't leave this. This is almost a nose double now for them. So
yeah, it only needs to curl a sliver more, just so that it doesn't drive the yellow back on an angle. If it curls a sliver more on the first one, you line them all up.
Yeah, that would have been really nice. The old Christmas tree special it would have been. So big opportunity here to turn this whole sheet into just a yellow.
Kevin Cooey will still have a chance. There'll be that corner guard to come around. The shot stone has been moved, or the yellow stone that was shot has now been moved to the back 8. And this still has to be made. There's some distance between these two rocks. Nothing out of the brusher so far. Boy, if you drive it by, could you ever drive it onto yellow at the back? No, he hit it far enough off the nose. We didn't have to find out about that. Now, does Kevin Cooey ever try to tap the stone in the 4-foot to freeze that stone back 8 and roll the shooter behind cover?
Yeah, it's hard to say whether he would do that or just there where he put the broom, where I mentioned last time, just that Christmas tree or half the Christmas tree, where you just show a half a rock so that you can't make a full shot on them.
Well, I'm still thinking 3. You're thinking 2. That's the shot for 3.
Yeah.
Is you tap the red back on the angle. It's a very similar shot to what Tyler Tardy just made. You just need a little bit more curl. Tap it back to freeze on the yellow and roll your shooter in behind the guard. Oscar Eriksson more than likely makes a play on the back stone then, and you know, with the weight they could throw, he probably blasts it out, but you're still going to have a shot for 2 if you could make the freeze good enough on the tap. There's always the chance it doesn't leave the house.
With that ice, he might be going with your shot.
I'm sure he is. That's going to be looked at, I think. He indicated play the tap and roll.
Yeah. So precise, but... They're back 12 right off the bat, so that would be maximum weight for this shot.
Well, he's hitting on a bit of an angle. I think that's about the right weight because you're going to lose some when you're hitting it on an angle. Line's close. This might overcurl, actually.
We know it comes down hard here. And it
not,
did it again. That is not back 12.
No.
That is definitely not back 12. So the guys are really having trouble judging Kevin's rocks here because they said back 12 and that was back 4 at best.
I think they're okay. I mean, they should still have a shot for 2. Eriksson, he could elect to try the double, but there's a lot of risk involved in trying that double. He's got to hit the stone on the button first, roll towards the back end of the other rock. The problem with that is, if you ever hit it too thick, you dead jam it on the yellow at the back, don't get the second one out either, and it's a shot for 3. So I think, well, he put the broom down awfully tight. I think he was just going to hit this stone and roll to the edge of the 4. Sit shot, make Kevin play the hit for 2. Has to be trying to roll broomside with this. If you were going to try to play the double, well, no, he's throwing the weight. Threw the weight, but I think put the broom down in one of those let's be safe broom locations and doesn't come up at all. He makes the hit, rolls the shooter out. He'll give Kevin Cooey the chance for 2 just to make sure he doesn't give him any chance for 3. Kevin Cooey playing this as a straight draw, but with the broom that he's got, they do have the option to come to the back one if they needed to. This is one of those where if you're heavy and need to come to the backing, this is probably the right broom, and if you don't need the backing and it curls by it, oh well, you put it right on the pin. This will be all up to the brushers, and they have had some struggles with judging the weight in this game. The ice seems to be just a little bit heavier than what they've been thinking. Haven't laid a brush to this one though, and it's going to overcurl the back one for sure. Does end up right on the button. Kevin Cooey with his final stone here in number 6 makes the draw to the button, picks up his 2 points. He closes the gap. It's now 4-3 for Team Edin, and they will have last rock in 7th.
I've been raised on the farm since day one, so I was born into it. My grandfather came in here in 1905. I want to continue the farm for him and generations to come. So
I think it's a privilege that we get to be here. It's just a wonderful way of life.
You know, what job is there that you can go to work with your dad and brother, with your kids by your side? Doesn't get much better than that.
Sometimes curling just isn't as fun as it can be on the Nintendo Switch. With up to 4 players per console, you can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling. Available now only on Nintendo Switch.
Seventh inning underway. Team Cooey threw the center guard to start things off here. Team Edin looking to come around. And it'll be interesting. I thought we might see here, even in the 7th inning, double centers, but that first guard is a halfway guard. It makes it real tough to throw the second center guard. And That answers what I was wondering about. They're going to come right in, play the freeze to the top of that stone in the 4-foot.
Yeah, a little surprise too there, Sean. In this situation, I would have expected to see a second center guard.
Well, that's what I was thinking before we came back from the break. When you come back from the break and see that they've thrown the first one halfway, it's real tough to throw 2 centers. I did hear on that attempt, Carrick Martin right out of his hand said hard early, so I don't think he was happy with the release on that one. Comes up a little short as well.
Definitely seeing some uncharacteristic misses here by the Cooey team. Just here and there missing those shots that they're normally famous for making.
Christopher Sundgren has been great all weekend long, and another outstanding come around on his second stone.
Yes, it's pretty easy to see their how their win-loss record comes.
Yeah.
They're just so solid top to bottom, and we're only seeing 3 out of the 4 with Niklas being at the helm. It's you can see why they're just so solid and Olympic gold champions, and just a great team all in all, and they get along with each other. Their discussions are good, and it's great to see such a great team.
I've had the opportunity to call a couple of their games now, and I'm trying to think back. I don't know if I can remember Christopher Sundgren being behind the tee line once yet this week. And on top of that, he's in the house now. He's the vice with Oscar Eriksson throwing the last 2 stones, and he's been very good in the house. He was the guy that saw the double that Eriksson played to win one of his earlier games. I remember I was on the call in that game. It shocked me because there you've got a guy that normally plays lead, being the only guy that saw the double. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, these super teams nowadays, they it doesn't matter what role they're in, they all see the game so well now, and such big parts to the strategy of the team now in all positions. It's double.
Makes the double peel. Shooter stays right there. I think they were hoping it was going to spin up, but it is their color now. Team Edin sitting shot rock on the 4-foot. Second shot in the open belongs to Team Cooey. There is kind of a pocket between those two, and that's what Kevin's looking at. Do you freeze that pocket? Also looking at playing the tap on the yellow top 8-foot, see if they can start to make more than just a pocket, more of a wall at the top of the 4-foot. Kevin absolutely does not want to see a blank here.
No, Kevin's going to be coming full guns a-blazing. He's the reigning champion of this IG Wealth Management Western Showdown, so he would like to take that first place check again. He enjoyed holding it last year, and with his new team, he'd love to hold it again, but he's got a lot of work ahead of him, so he's going to have to really get some rocks into great positions here to try to force a steal to make the 8th end a real interesting coming home end.
Well, you know, the Cooey team has had their struggles so far here this afternoon, but the one guy who's not struggled at all, Bradley Thiessen, has had one heck of a game and puts a great freeze in the pocket there.
Yes, he's played really well. If we had the percentages going, he'd be very happy to see his percentages in this game. It's he has not missed much. He's set up some great ends. They just haven't always got to finish them off. Either Tyler or Kevin just missing by a hair, and just makes a difference in a game like this.
Rasmus Rana now in the hack's going to make the attempt to just pick out the redstone beside the broom. That freeze made so well, you can't really do much with the top one. If you can get rid of the back one, you'll have a chance to get rid of the top one later. Picks it out.
Made that look very easy, but as we know, Sean, there wasn't a lot of room there. He saw probably just a third of the rock at what he hit, and just a fantastic shot. Made that look so easy.
So now the call from the Cooey team, they're going to try to come down, get to the face of that redstone, maybe slightly to the inside. The face will do it, though, because he's got to tap it. So when you tap it, you'll spread out the red and yellow, and again, leave your shooter in what would be a pocket between those two stones. Tyler Tardy now to make that attempt. Brusher's indicating this might be a little light. Have to wait for the line if they can. Starting to move now. Room by the guard, that's not the issue. They got to get at least to the face of their own, if not across. Nudges it up just a little bit.
Ooh, does this give the opportunity to slash that yellow into them and
yeah, I think
take them both out?
They needed to move it just a little bit more than that, I think. Oscar was already looking at this as a possibility on the last one.
I think there's a little bit of drag to come back there, so it'd be tough to get that top red one out. It might shoot out because of the weight they can throw. It might shoot back out through the top of the house.
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think those three go easy.
That's the indication where he's trying to sweep there, because it'll actually shoot and start going out the front of the house.
At the very least, even if it does start to jam, it's definitely going to spin out far enough to be out in the open, and they take that right now. Probably have to lose your shooter and the Yellowstone, though. The first Yellowstone that you're hitting, I don't think you're keeping either one of them in the rings.
There it goes out the front.
So makes three go away, loses the shooter as well. Just the Edin stone sitting at the top of the 4 foot and the long guard left. And Kevin Cooey doesn't want to blank, so he's got to work with what's there.
No, not a lot of choices here. At the first thing that I was thinking that they basically have is just a little tap back, and that's what he's indicating. Just try to tap it back to the back of the button, and
it's the tap back or the freeze, right? You play the freeze, you know that with that weight they can throw, he's just going to blast them all out, and then you're coming around one guard for your life for the rest of the end. You play the tap back, even if they pick yours out, you still got two rocks to work with.
So back 12 is the weight call, and just tapping, and they want to get right to the nose of this rock.
Guess if it was possible in a perfect world, I don't know if you can get that much finish. If you could get just a sliver across the nose, get your shooter dead buried. But you're asking a lot on a rock where you can only see half of it. Again, just a little bit light. You don't hate the fact that you tapped on that little bit of angle, but you would have liked to have at least put it fully behind the tee line. It's getting behind cover now. If it was buried, it's a rock you could freeze to, but you still have to move it now.
To be pretty exact with this one, maybe a hack weight, I guess, maybe to try to make sure you get into the inside here.
Oh, I think you're running the guard. You don't mind having
run it in.
Yeah, and if you miss it, well, what's Kevin doing? He's going to have to group rocks in the 4 foot. And then you're one blast away from a blank end. With the weight that Rasmus can throw, you might get rid of all three of them here. You'd have to be very unfortunate to stuff the red under that back one. There's a good look.
$12,000 papers to the winner for the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown here in Swift Current, Saskatchewan.
The Happy Gilmore size check.
Absolutely.
That's going to be, I'm calling it that from now on. I hope that catches on. I want to see that check at every event called the Happy Gilmore check. Close. Got the top one.
Fantastic shot.
Got the second one and gets it so solidly he actually hangs on for a bite at the edge of the 12. And that could still be a factor because Oscar Eriksson might have a chance to get the steal to score 2 this end. And as much as we said Kevin Cooey doesn't want to see a blank, well, he doesn't want to really see a 2 go on the board either.
No, he's going to try to weld this one on there to hopefully just give up the force of 1. Can't really risk tapping this back and becoming shot, I don't think. I think he has to basically think that the best case scenario is to give the Team Edin 1 here and then battle coming home.
He'd take 1 point either way, but yeah, I think you're right. Certainly your best bet here is if you could get the force, have last rock coming home. You know that with a 5 rock free guard zone, you should have a chance to generate 2, and 3s happen. There's always the possibility of the 3. And then the other difference is it is a little different here in this event, tied up playing 8 versus tied up in an extra end, because we are playing in the extra ends the no tick zone. Great freeze there by Kevin Cooey. Eriksson looking at it, doesn't really do him any good to just straight peel the guard because Kevin Cooey will put it back. You'll have to draw to what's left of the button for 2. That's the way it looks right now. Kevin actually, rather than put it back, could come down, try to tap that back, straight back 6 to 8 inches, maybe sit shot rock. They looked at it. Are they trying to move anything in the house? That looks like a lot of ice to try to move the ones in the house. This could be straight peel.
I think the first indication was just a straight peel.
So make the straight peel and let Kevin decide how he wants to play this out.
I think they had discussed that before Kevin threw. I think they knew that Kevin was going to throw a really good rock, and they were expecting that. Because they didn't take any time to go up there. So they were discussing that ahead of time and assuming Kevin was going to throw a nice one, and they knew they were going to just go peel that card.
So what do you like now if you're Kevin Cooey? If you throw the straight guard, you know, you're really not protecting anything for Oscar to blast that now. He's got to roll out. If you try to tap it, there's the risk that you leave the double. Kind of looks like with this ice, he's trying to guard the draw path to the second point. Is that what you're seeing, Jeff?
That's what I'm seeing right now, yeah. It's
you got to be careful with that too. If you can't come into the rings, you might leave a double.
Yeah, because right now he has the draw in for sure on the out turn for the second point, but those are pretty welded, and if he leaves that whole side, do you think he can come down there with peel? I don't know. This would be an interesting way.
Do I think he can? No.
So he basically has to bite the 8 foot and cover up the path as straight.
And Eriksson's looking at the blank. I think that was Oscar's broom that that signaled off the red onto the yellow at the side of the 12. I don't know if he's going to play it, but that was the first thing he looked at. Wondering now, is there room on the, where's Oscar the left-hander, is there room on his out-turn side, basically coming away from the center line to catch enough of the button for two. You take a shot at blasting this as hard as you can right on the nose, knowing that even if it's a steal of one, you've still got last rock coming home. And that could come down to a preference. You know, we talk about and have talked about for years since the free guard zone came out. Would you rather be one up without last rock or one down with? Well, let's take that scenario one step further here. Would you rather be tied up with last rock in a 5-rock free guard zone, or 2 up but without last rock?
Well, I know my vote's always to go 2 up. I like to put points on the board and force the other team into making a good end to get 2 to carry it to an extra end. But I know it's, like I said, it's a preference. I think we're going to see the high hard one here, and he thinks he might still have an opportunity for a blank here.
Yeah, he's looking for the blank all the way because he knows that in order to kill the red stone, he can't keep his shooter. So hope he can come across, catch the back end of that yellow in the side of the 8-foot, and blank this end.
I can assure you he's going to come flying out of this hack right shortly.
You don't think he's going to be light here, eh?
A lot of rotation trying to get the extra spin off the rocks. Well, looks like he's close.
Makes the hit. Does squirt the red all the way across, but well underneath the third shot stone. It stays in the edge of the 12-foot. It'll be a single point for Team Edin. They retake a 2-point lead. It'll be Team Cooey with last rock needing a deuce to tie when we come back.
Hey, wake up. There's so much out there to see. Look up, look down. Quick, look over there. Look for a little trouble, but not too much. Open your eyes to something new every day. The hustle, the bustle, the calm, the serene. Maybe then you'll see that sometimes you have to go far to get a little closer. So wake up. The day is far from over. Seize the days.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Sean Joyce, Jeff Chambers, happy to be here with you for the call of this final of the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. Team Cooey needing to score at least 2 to tie here, looking for the corner guard with their first stone, and that one definitely looked like it picked, changed turns, and it's a hog stone for Eric Martin. Creates a question for Team Edin. I think they were expecting there to already be a guard in play. They'd thrown the first one in thinking they were probably going to throw the second one in. Now, they're going to peel their own stone out of the top of the 4-foot.
Well, Team Cooey has one more opportunity to still put one safe one out there. So,
but you only get one free guard now because the other one's in the back corner. It's hard to score more than 2 like that. So Team Edin knowing they're going to play full-on defense for the rest of this end. Worst case scenario, if they give up the deuce, they've got last rock in the extra end.
Carrick, when he let this go, he threw that out a little bit, but it's catching some late curl, but not as far over as Kevin wanted. But for some reason with his release there, he just kind of flicked that outside the center line. Looks like we're going to see an attempt at a corner guard tick shot.
Looking to push this probably into the rings. It's a shot we've seen. Colton Flash's team has played this quite a bit this year, and it is a shot that you see more commonly in doubles play. You see a lot of the doubles teams, when it comes down to that power play, you get to play once a game, they will try to push that corner guard into the rings and hope that that allows for a chance for a double later on.
Well, it made contact, just didn't change much.
Yeah, didn't move it very far. Tyler Tardy was ready on the brush there. I guess they don't trust Kevin Cooey to brush those that hard. He doesn't get to use that brush very much.
Kevin's choosing to come right in instead of throwing another corner guard that they would be trying to make a double opportunity at some point. So he's just going to get his rock in play now. This one's quite a ways out there too. Need to really take a late curl. Not sure what happened with that. That was a couple of feet offline there, so not sure if there's something in the release there or what happened there, but wide open gives them a crack at the angle double here.
Yeah, that's the thing. As soon as you leave angle, there's a chance to go after both of them, and if they both go away, this game is essentially over. You'd be at the point now where you need a complete miss.
Yeah, you need some kind of break for sure to in this situation, but you never know. We've seen it happen before, and we will see it again at some point. Just never sure when.
Well, this still has to be made. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but the angle leaves it as a possibility. If you're dead buried, they're probably just straight peeling the guard.
He didn't like that out of his hand. He thought he threw that out a little bit.
Will be a little bit thin and goes across the top. Now, if you're Kevin Cooey, though, you're pretty much stuck guarding that stone for the rest of the end.
Yep.
Try to get your deuce with the last one.
You can see Rasmus' face there. He's would love a mulligan on that one. Good opportunity there to clear everything out, and he knew when he let go, he just let that go out a little wide, and just don't get another shot at that typically.
Well, they may have a chance to run something through yet, but they can leave these a little bit more lined up. There won't be a chance, won't necessarily be another chance to make the double and roll the shooter out of play. If you have to run it straight back, you leave the shooter for a guard, there's still going to be something for Kevin Cooey to work with.
Bradley with another nice throw there to cover it up.
Looks like they're playing the straight peel here, not even looking at the run back. These are always a little bit mentally tiring as well for the team in Cooey's situation, because you throw the guard, you're not even back down to the other end yet, and the guard's already gone, and it's time to throw again.
Well, regardless of the outcome, these two teams have put on a great show for all the fans this week, and just speaking on Swift Current's behalf, we're just so happy that they made the trip to Little Swift Current here in Saskatchewan to showcase their talents for us. And thanks again to IG Wealth Management, the Western Showdown here, and Curling Zone and SaskTel Curling Stadium for putting the online so that so many can view. We got well over 1,000 people watching, and it's just great that people all over the world can watch this action. And we're just so happy for Swift Current that we got to host.
Makes a good guard there. They're dead lined up, so definitely no thought about trying the run through. Straight peel. Tyler Tardy will look to put the guard back one more time. If he deadlines this up again, I would tend to think Oscar Eriksson will just straight peel it one more time. But then when if Cooey elects to guard with his first one, there's no reason for Oscar not to try the double. Boy, if he leaves him a piece, do you go after shot rock?
Well, I'm pretty sure being in the 4-foot full four ahead of the tee that they're going to take a crack at trying to get around at this and get as close to nose as they can to leave there. I think they would want to leave their shooter there.
Yeah, straight peeling it out. If you're going to straight peel it out, you may as well peel the guard.
Might as well peel the guard. So I think that they're going to want to hit and just leave theirs in there so that they can to use it in some fashion.
Yeah, it becomes a bit of a problem. Kevin's going to have to try to bury one, and you might be able to come off your own to get at it. There was some brief discussion about maybe trying to play this and staying behind the center guard. I can't imagine they'd play that.
It's like with the ice they took, they're throwing a control weight at it.
Yeah.
Maybe bumper. Just took a little more ice now.
It doesn't need to throw it big, but I don't think you'd ever flirt with trying to roll under. If you roll half under, you actually could cause yourself more problems. Keep your shooter
I think you
open.
take the percentage shot and let Kevin have to make the precise hit and roll.
He's not hitting.
Or he's going to draw. He's going to draw.
Yeah.
But leave the preciseness up to the other team. Always play your percentages.
If you can leave your stone close to the center line, though, it's really moving. It straightens out a bit at the end. He's got more weight maybe than I thought he had. Makes the hit, does roll across to the corner of that 4-foot. So the thing now is if Kevin Cooey buries one at the top of the 4-foot, you can come off your own. Kevin looking at, I think he tapped the ice a little bit higher, so they wouldn't be able to come off their own, but Kevin might not be shot rock. And I mean, that's the chance you have to take right now if you're Kevin Cooey. You can't really let him have something that he can double. So you play this to the top 8, even if you're not shot rock. If Oscar Eriksson is going to put it in a spot where he's sitting 2, it's pretty hard to find a spot where you could sit 2 and not leave a double for Kevin Cooey.
Yeah, no, he's at a gambling state now. He's like I said, you got to make just fully buried. Top 8 would be best case scenario.
Yeah, I think if you're anywhere behind that Yellowstone at all, Oscar is probably coming off of it and the game could be over.
Yeah.
Got plenty of room by the guard, but this will go sideways. This actually might peek out in the open across the guard. Gotta bite the rings.
Oh boy,
how
it
many
keeps
times
fooling
have they
them.
done that? I don't know if they're even going to make Oscar throw this. Yep, they are going to let him throw it. But I'm not seeing a deuce there right now.
They have watched that number 7 red rock on that sheet come up short. How many times? Is probably 3 times.
Well, and again, they weren't touching it. Like,
yeah, it's fooled them quite a few times. So it must be a digger of a rock. But you think they would have figured that out a little sooner? That's a bad one to let come up short.
So Oscar Eriksson just looking to lob this into the rings anywhere. The only shot they saw, and boy, it would be paper tough. Kevin Cooey would have to come tight by the long guard, rub the stone he just threw, enough to put it into the rings, and have the shooter come through and kill the yellow. So if you put a second yellow in the rings, he'd have to do that and somehow make a double. It's probably a 1 in a million shot if there's only one rock in the rings. It's
going to be handshakes as he pulls up to this one, I'm pretty sure.
Kevin's already put the jacket on. He doesn't usually throw with it on. He'll usually wear it for warmth, but throws without it.
That will do it. Unless he sees something that...
Well, they're gonna take a look. Again, it's that same shot, essentially. You got to hit the whisker thin on the red that's just out front of the rings, and I think they're going to play it as a run. So run the guard. Just whisker that one that's just outside the rings, so you can rub it in to catch the top of the 12-foot, and then
redirect.
The raised stone needs to come back and double the two yellows in the rings. It was 1 in a million when it was just one stone in the rings. The odds will be a little longer than that this time.
If this worked, it would be a highlight reel forever. Oh my God, he almost that shot would have been neat to see.
Makes the run, but does drive it by his own stone, picks off the one stone. It'll be another steal of one. Put it in the books as a 6-3 final. Team Edin playing shorthanded all weekend. Goes undefeated and picks up the win in this championship final of the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. Jeff, I'm not sure, and I don't know if you know what the Halloween traditions are in Sweden, but I really want to see somebody hand Oscar Eriksson a pillowcase, and he walks over and says trick or treat in front of the Happy Gilmore check.
That would be wonderful. If I was down there, we would probably pull that off.
Just watched, I assume it's going to be Chris Eichert making the presentation. Just watch him drop that check into the pillowcase.
Need a very big pillowcase though for that check.
But let's be honest, when we were trick-or-treating, that was the size pillowcase you wanted, wasn't it?
Absolutely. It was all about filling that bad boy up and then loading it in the vehicle and getting out for more.
See if we can get the camera angle switched around. We're on the wrong camera right now to see the presentation. There we go.
There. Are they checking who to make the check out to right now?
Yeah. Don't be making it out to Niklas.
He can't take that and cash that right now. Photo deposit maybe will work. Well, these guys have been just absolutely dominating here, and they showed that again, going undefeated once again. So just fantastic showing by this.
We should give a plug to the local, and I'm hoping, Jeff, that you might know who it is. I'm assuming the gentleman in the middle making the presentation is the representative from IG Wealth Management.
That is Ron Eichel. He's a past president of the curling club for many years, very active in the curling community here, and he was a big reason for getting the sponsorship for this event, and he's been on hand the entire weekend, and all the IG Wealth Management, the big bosses were out last year, and they just love this event and how the curling stadium was covering it with the curling zone, and they're just happy to be part of this. And so it's a big moment for Ron because he's a big part. And there's our mayor that I was talking about earlier, Mr. Al Bridle. He was right in behind there watching all the action today, and a supporter of having these world-class events come to Swift Current. For a small place, we've had some pretty big events in the past.
You have. We've had a chance to cover some of those events this year on SaskTel Curling Stadium. Another outstanding event just wrapped up. Team Edin with the win here in the final over Kevin Cooey. They are the champions of this year's IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. We want to thank everybody who's been with us all weekend long. It's been an outstanding event. We look forward to seeing more events on SaskTel Curling Stadium as the season goes on. You can watch Curling Zone to find out when all of the events are coming up in your area. But for us, that's a wrap on the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. For myself, Sean Joyce, and my partner this afternoon, Jeff Chambers, thanks for joining us, and we will see you at the next event.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Had some questions about if our houses are painted or are they logo. Our events are always painted houses, but in the future coming out, I'm pretty sure we're going to be going to all logo houses. They're a great revenue source for any curling club. You can get your advertisements on there, and usually after the first year, the houses are paid for. It's all free money for you. So hopefully check Jet Ice out for your future in-house logos.